Good day and welcome to the first installation in White Belt Angular. This is some random guy on the internet, and I'm your host and guide for this. It shouldn't take too much time. The assumptions here are that you already have Visual Studio Code installed. You also have Node and Angular installed. There's plenty of different sources on how to do that online, so I'm not going to go through that. If you need help, definitely reach out and let me know. One thing I did find in regards to getting Angular running is that for me it had to be run on an admin account. I know that there's a way to do it by putting it in the path, but for me it was just easier to just run it on an account on my computer that had admin privileges. So with that being the case, I've got Visual Studio started, and I'm going to open up the code editor, or not code editor, but the command prompt, and I'm going to create a new project. And these are going to kind of go in series. So the first in this series is going to be alpha. So I'm going to say ng new alpha. And what that does is it creates a new Angular project. It asks you if you want to use Angular routing. I do, and I suggest you do as well. It asks you which styling you want to use. I use CSS because I found that I had trouble with some components, specifically material, when I would use SCSS or SAS or less. And it seems to work when I use just plain CSS, so that's what I'm going to go with. It runs, and what it's doing now is, I guess, downloading the packages from Node, or using Node, and putting them in a specific configuration. Angular has a lot of flexibility in how you set up some things, but it does have sort of a baseline configuration in terms of like what the directory and file structure are. So we sit and let that run for a little while, and we twiddle our thumbs and we wait. Alright, when everything's installed, it lets you know, and to see it running, I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to go ng test. That starts up the first I have to go into that directory. So here you can see I'm in the Twitch directory, but I need to go into the directory that I just created. So that's going to sort of close and reopen Visual Studio Code, and I use Control tilde again to get the command line editor, and I'm going to go ng test. That opens up the testing server, and the testing server is pretty useful. I'll say that testing is critical to application development. We're not going to do a lot of testing here. I'm going to show you one point where your testing will start to fail, but not in this video. So as you can see, the testing package is running, and it opens up the browser, and it starts this thing called Karma, and it basically runs your page. And you can see that it's, I guess, kind of opening in an iframe. So I'm going to go back to code, and the testing window is it's controlled by this command line editor. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new command line editor to actually browse to the project, and I'm going to go ng serve --o, and the --o is, I guess, for open the browser and navigate to that URL. So we go through and do that. Once that's compiled, you'll see that it opens up the page. So that's basic step one in getting an Angular project running. Because this part is very much the same, I'm going to go ahead and do it here, but it is sort of its own thing. So these are all different things that you can do. They'll all lead you into their own rabbit hole in terms of what can be done. So I'm going to go here and add Angular material. So let's go ahead and paste that. And it's going to ask me a couple of things about Angular material. First of all, do you want to proceed? It will go through and install the package, and again, it will take some time to do it. And we wait. All right, and it's going to ask you what colors you want to use. So I'm going to go with purple and green, which it doesn't really look purple and green. And it asks me if I want to set up the material typography styles. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Browser animations, yes. And it will go ahead and run. And there are plenty of videos on how to do Angular material, but I'm going to show one quick demo with something called a schematic. Schematic is code that you can type in your command line that will set up a part of your Angular material module. So I've got a lot of these already all right. So this is an Angular schematic. I'm saying Angular generate an Angular material component, and the component is type navigation, and the name of it is also going to be navigation. So I hit that, and you'll see up here in my source app directory, this is where all the magic is going to be happening, but it's created a new directory for me called navigation. So going back to this project, it's refreshing here because there were some changes to the project, and the testing server automatically refreshes the page. But in order to make use of my navigation component, what I'm going to do is go to appcomponent.html, and I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to cut this out, go all the way to the bottom, delete it, everything else, and I'm leaving this. So it says the app is running, and I think this one's called alpha, so alpha app is running is what it says. So you see that here, alpha app is running. But what I've done is I've moved that code down to the bottom, and you'll see why in a second. But I'm going to add a tag to include the navigation component on this page. So I'm going to go app navigation, and I'm going to move my routing outlet into the app navigation. So I'm going to go to navigation, and you'll see here that each one of the components has an HTML page for it. And so here's where my navigation, my routing is going to go, router outlet. And I want to save it, and you can see here it shows 1, 2, and 3. But going back to the testing issue that we were talking about earlier, first I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to I'm going to close all these actually. So my two servers, the testing server and the the display server, has both stopped running. So I'm going to restart the testing server. And you'll see in a second. And we wait. Alright, so when the testing server is running, it's going to be looking for certain things. And if it doesn't find them, then you'll see that the test will have failed. So here you see it's looking for alpha app is running. And I put it in there that it should display, but it doesn't display the way it's supposed to. And I'm going to show you why. But first I'm going to go ahead and display it again. So we'll go ng serve it up. And part of me kind of hates making you wait while I wait, but I mean it might be useful to know, like, how long I'm waiting. So this is what it looks like when the page is reloaded and the styles are applied. And you can see here, if you scroll down, that alpha app is running. That is here, but you can't see it. But in order to make this go away, I'm going to make a couple of changes. So first I'm going to say, in my app component CSS, I'm going to say hidden display none visibility hidden, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go back to my app component spec. So it's app component specification.ts. You see here it's looking for alpha app is running, and it's looking for it to be in a content like class, and it's looking for a span. So I'm just going to go ahead and not get rid of that. I'm going to just change it to hidden. No, I'll just go ahead and get rid of it. So when I go ahead and get rid of it, I reload, and you can see that alpha app is running shows. I mean, that error doesn't appear anymore. And likewise, I could have just, I think I could have just deleted it, but I left it in there because at some point, as we start learning how to build out Angular applications, we're going to want to start making use of the testing. So I think it's important to note here that this is something that is new to me. I'm just learning Angular. Hat tip and shout out to my friend Hooch for kind of getting me started on this journey. And I'm going to shoot for trying to upload at least a video a week. Hopefully I might be able to get a subscriber or maybe somebody to view it other than my mom. Thanks, and have a great day.